artistic gymnastics coming up for you today and tomorrow, with 2 finals today, 2 finals tomorrow. Welcome all of you, wherever in the world you call home. Welcome to a gymnastics event taking place on International Women's Day on the shores of the Caspian Sea in Baku. So these are your contenders in the men's floor competition. We did have Eddie Penev presented, albeit very briefly, a little too briefly for him. Milad Karimi, Dimitar Dimitrov, Matsumi Kazuki, Tapan Mohanty, Nazar Sheperny, Igor Sharamkov and Yuri Yemelyanov. As is customary, we will have the split warm-up system in operation. So the first 4 gymnasts will get some contact time with the apparatus. The men's code of points certainly is the one where the lion's share of changes are to be scrutinised. And one of the most interesting things is that 8 elements now count instead of 10 in men's artistic gymnastics. That is quite a strong change and will result in some... a little distracted there, sorry. That is quite a strong change and will result in... I'm just going to give up trying to make this point. As I was saying, there are 10 elements reduced to 8 now counting in men's artistic gymnastics, and on floor in particular the gymnasts have to dismount with a double salto, so we'll keep an eye on what that means for the construction of the routines. They've also lost 5 seconds of the maximum time of the routines, down to 70 instead of 75, so some interesting changes there for us to take stock of. Matsumi Kazuki has only competed at 2 previous World Cups. They were both the Baku World Cups last year and the year before. But he won the floor title in September of last year at what's known as the All Japan Super Specialist Championships with a score of 14.3. Now he scored 13.5 in qualification, but I think it's safe to say that Matsumi Kazuki has got a little more that he can give and could be a genuine contender to take top spot, depending on what we see, of course, from Milad Karimi. But yes, he's going to be a pleasure to watch based on what we've seen of him domestically. And I'm sure many of you know that one of the most interesting features of World Cup competition is that you get to see gymnasts from Japan sometimes who don't feature hugely on the national team in major competitions, because let's face it, the Japanese national team for men is about as strong as any gymnastics team can get. So it can be very hard to earn a place in the squad, and these World Cups are often a chance to see some rare gymnasts and to really enjoy their work. Moments away now from the start of the men's floor competition. You're watching the Baku World Cup of Artistic Gymnastics in combination with the AGF Trophy. It's time for the men's floor final. Eddie Penev from Bulgaria will be the first to go. He was the 6th best in the preliminary round with a score of 12.966. He's been a World Cup medalist on floor, most recently at the Cairo World Cup last year. Nice opening tumbling pass, a little stabilisation required, but very minor. Nice cleanliness of shape in flight. Perhaps just had a little deterioration of the leg position twisting there. Very nice presentation of the Wendeschwing. Now there's an interesting new requirement in the men's floor exercises, that scale or balance position, and I'm sure you could see there that that was actually one of the trickier moments for Eddie Penev from an execution point of view. A lot of gentlemen have said that. Actually, it's a return to days gone by when men's floor routines required that balance, that scale, and for a lot of them they're frankly not accustomed to doing it. Very experienced gymnast to get us underway. Gentleman who has competed for both Bulgaria and the United States of America over the course of his career. Graduate of architecture from Stanford University. .966 in qualification, a difficulty score of 5.2. One of the high difficulty scores, but we are going to see two gymnasts who had considerably higher than that in qualification, including the next gentleman. Spoke with great emotion, Eddie Penev, at the experience of witnessing his brother Kevin going to the Olympic Games in Paris. He said it was the realisation of a family dream. His own Paris hopes affected by injury. But he works so closely with his brother. Yes, he very much guides him, but he's said it's the other way around too, that Kevin is a gentleman who pushes him so hard in training. They give each other a great deal of support. .466, that's quite a step up from the preliminary round. Execution was much stronger. Now this is Milad Karimi, top qualifier, 13.833, the 25-year-old from Almaty in Kazakhstan, who is a two-time Olympian. And this is a gentleman who was 5th in the floor final at the Olympic Games in Paris and indeed in Tokyo. Oh yes, beautiful pike position, secure landing and real time in the air too. Twisting into front tuck work, it's complicated, and he did have a 5.7 difficulty score in the preliminary round. Very nice stable landing coming out of the twist position. Diagonal armed handstand, stable. Did well to control that back step, stay in bounds. That was a pretty tidy looking scale. does wrap the body in tightly. He's got some very clean looking gymnastics in the air, Milad Karimi. He won the gold medal at the first World Cup of the season in Cottbus. And those of you who've been watching World Cup competition for some time will know Milad Karimi very well. He's been out there on the World Cup circuit for years and years. Actually made his senior international debut in a World Cup event when he was only 17 and won a medal on floor. Again, a sense of tidiness of form, keeping the knees together. Good sense of precision to his tumbling work. Only a small adjustment. It'll be interesting to look at this in light of the 8.133 that he got for execution in the preliminary round. Because one imagines that it might be a little stronger from an execution standpoint. Oh, it's a lot stronger. 8.5 for execution, 14.3 for Milad Karimi. So he goes into the gold medal position by some way. 28-year-old Dimitar Dimitrov from Bulgaria, second Bulgarian in this final. He's from the southwest of the country in Blagoevgrad, which is a small town at the foothills of the rather exquisite Rila Mountains. Certainly some height there. Third best in qualifying, by the way, 13.366, so a definite contender to earn a place on the podium. That's a hard sequence to stabilise. Well in the handstand, had a slightly unsteady start. Different sort of balance position there, a classical arabesque. Quite a big adjustment on that final tumbling pass, but it's a good performance from Dimitar Dimitrov. Difficulty-wise, one expects him to give away a little to Milad Karimi, so much will come down to the crispness of his performance, and we've already seen Eddie Penev step up quite a bit in execution. Just wonder about the stability of some of those landings by comparison. And one of the things that's going to be very interesting to see as we look at execution scores is contemplating how much, I'm sure you could see there quite a cross-legged landing, and the adjustment is how much is going to get lost on some of the balance positions as the gymnasts get more used to putting them into their performances. It's the sort of display this from Dimitrov where there are just little incremental deductions here and there. There was no one enormously glaring moment. Think about some of the tidiness in flight compared to what we saw from Milad Karimi, the clarity of the body positions. .13.1 for Dimitar Dimitrov, and it is the lowest execution score that we've seen so far. Interestingly, he's lost a tenth of difficulty as well from qualification. Now this is going to be very interesting. Natsumi Kazuki of Japan, who scored 13.5 in the preliminary round. This was the best executed piece of gymnastics of all of the qualifiers. 8.6. For reasons like that. It's a very dynamic tumbler. Twists nicely, steady landings. Side pass just has a tiny adjustment, but it's hard to spot. Quite a smooth move to handstand. Barely a flicker once he gets into position. And that's a good balance with nice toe point. Very streamlined. Easy to see why this gentleman won the floor title at the Specialist Championships in September. Oh, he has a little difficulty stabilising that pike position at the very end. That will cost some execution tenths. There's a nice looking pike in flight. As I mentioned, it is now compulsory that the gentlemen on floor have to dismount with a double salto. We'll see a fair bit more of Natsumi Kazuki over the course of this weekend. He's made a number of finals. He is a good all-around gymnast. He won the bronze medal at the Japanese Senior Championships last year, albeit a Senior Championships with some notable absenteeism due to the presence of the Olympiad. It's a particularly nice handstand. Look at this balance position, which had more style than we've seen so far. Second place, 13.6, but the highest execution, and no surprises there. He just is lower on difficulty, quite a bit lower, 8 tenths behind Milad Karimi. So Karimi remains in the gold medal position. And now we're just going through the warm-up process for the second half of the finalists. This is how things look at the moment. Milad Karimi in the gold medal position. Natsumi Kazuki occupying silver, and Eddie Penev in bronze. We're now going to see Tapan Mohanty of India, Nazar Chepurny of Ukraine, neutral athlete Igor Sharamkov, another Ukrainian Yuri Yemelyanov. That's the young man there, he's only 17, youngest in the final. This is the only event that will take place as a standalone event today. Once we move into the men's parallel bars and the women's vault, we're going to alternate, so you'll see one from each of the disciplines, and that will mean that the final runs a little more quickly. Gives the judges time to evaluate one routine while we see the performance of another athlete in a different medal event. Well, he's a very interesting young man, Tapan Mohanty, 21, from Odisha in the east of India. He competed at the Asian Games in Hangzhou, has performed in some World Cup competitions, but huge congratulations to him, because last month he won the all-around gold medal, along with the team gold medal and the floor title at the Indian National Games. Big moment in his career. He's developed a lot lately. It's unfortunate, just not quite fully rotated, so he'll lose a full mark. And unfortunately now that's rather bled into the next tumbling pass. It's from a very interesting sporting background. Tapan Mohanty started in something very different. Have to make sure that that scale is sustained and held. Well, I hope he's okay there, Tapan Mohanty. Just looks in a little discomfort as he's leaving the competition floor. Had a couple of unfortunate landings early on. As I was saying about him earlier, very interesting sporting background. He actually started life as a wrestler. His father was a very fine state-level wrestler, and I'm sure many of you know India is a wrestling mad country. He went to see a competition at the Puri Indoor Stadium. He is from the city of Puri in Odisha state, and that was it for him. Gymnastics was everything from that moment onwards. He scored 12.6 in the preliminary round. The execution was one of the lower qualifying execution scores. And unfortunately here it will be a fair bit lower than that because of those two tricky landings. But nonetheless, huge congratulations to him on a very good start to his 2025. He chose not to, at the end of the routine, attempt a double salto. And that is very much a choice that the athlete and the coach have to make, and safety has got to be the primary concern. So just kept it simple. Wise move. Well done to him on that bit of judgment. Huge congratulations to you, Tapan Mohanty, on the all-around floor and team gold medal at the National Games of India recently. So unfortunately his score here is 8.933, 5.133 for execution. And he also loses quite a bit of difficulty, 8/10 compared to qualifying. The Ukrainian Nazar Cheperny, 13.1 in qualification. Championship medalist on vault in 2023. Along with lots of other accomplishments, including Youth Olympic titles. First flare work we've seen. Quite a wobbly Y scale. It's been the most common choice of the gymnasts so far. Very stable at the conclusion. Nazar Chepurny, who picked up an 8 for execution, a 5.1 for difficulty, so 13.1 overall. Winner of 14 World Cup medals, Nazar Chepurny. The last title that he won, 5 of them have been gold, was in this very building on vault in 2024. Absolutely one of the finest vaulters in the world. Bit of knee bend in the pike position. Will carry a small deduction. Does well to stay in bounds with that hop forwards. It's going to really take some doing to dislodge Milad Karimi at the top of the leaderboard. There is somebody coming up in a moment who's got the difficulty to do it. So Karimi 14.3, Natsumi 13.6, Penev 13.466, but we have a change now. Nazar Chepurny 13.633. Execution 8.433, some very secure landings. So he's improved by over half a mark from the preliminary round. Silver medal position for Chepurny with 2 to go. Igor Sharamkov, 13.266 in qualification. But there's potential for that execution score to really move up. Very accomplished tumbler, the 26-year-old. Won the bronze medal on floor at the European Championships in 2020. This is looking considerably better from an execution standpoint compared to qualification. Holds his arabesque quite well. Well, that will likely have an impact on the podium. Igor Sharamkov, who scored 13.233 in qualification. Just a correction to that, 13.266 in qualification. 5.7 for difficulty. Does get the knees nice and tightly into the chest. .6 plus to get onto the podium. 14.3, somewhere at the top of the leaderboard by 2/3 of a mark. Just one more performance to come after this. It will be Yuri Emelianov. Yes, no surprise. Change in the leaderboard. 14.6, Igor Sharamkov goes into the gold medal position over Milad Karimi. 5.8 for difficulty, he added an extra 10th. His execution, 8.8. Now there's going to be the Ukrainian on the podium. Question is who? Yuri Emelianov is now performing with Nazar Chiperny in the bronze medal position. This young man who's making his senior international debut this season. Scored 12.633 in the qualification round. Did well to stabilise that. Wasn't the tidiest, but he held on. Just giving a little away here and there with some of these landings. I think that's the first manner position that we've seen. A lot of the gymnasts in this final are very well known to us, very seasoned competitors. It's nice to see the next generation starting to come through. It's not a bad arabesque at all. That didn't have clarity, that's a shame. All was not as it should have been going into that last tumbling pass. But there's a lot to like about this youngster's gymnastics. Just remember, he's only 17. Competed at the Junior World Championships in Antalya in 2023 and last year's Junior European Championships in Rimini. So this very much part of the learning process for Yuri Emelianov. Ukraine has got such a track record of sending gymnasts out into World Cup competition on a very regular basis to get competition experience. So he will doubtless benefit just from chatting to gentlemen like Nazar Chiperny. Next, Chiperny seemed like a grizzled veteran. He's only 22, but he's, by comparison to Emelianov, 11.933. So actually he was on course to better his qualification score had he not had that fall at the end. That brings to a close the men's floor final. The classified results in the men's floor competition: bronze to Nazar Chiperny of Ukraine, silver is won by Milad Karimi of Kazakhstan, and Igor Sharamkov takes the gold medal with a score of 14.6. time for the award ceremonies at the National Gymnastics Arena in Baku, Azerbaijan. This is the victory ceremony for the floor competition for men.
İdman jimnastikasında dünya kupasında jimnastlar serbest hareketlerde mükafatlandırma merasimi başlayacak.
Award ceremony opens to exercise final. Third place and bronze medals to Nazar, Ukraine.
The winner of the bronze medal, Nazar Chepeny of Ukraine. Kazakhstan's Milad Karimi winning the silver medal. Igor Sharamkov winning the gold. Medalists in the men's floor competition.